You do everything right. You get up every day, handle your duties, answer messages, try to keep up with the pace. Yet inside, something feels dimmed. It's as if you're running on low power mode, still functioning, but without spark, without enjoyment, without true presence. And then that silent question arises, the one you try to push into a corner of your mind. What's happening to me? Maybe you think it's just stress, too many responsibilities, the phone that never stops ringing, a world that demands more than one can give. But what if the root of the problem isn't outside? What if what's really holding you back is a misalignment within yourself? Stoic lessons reminds us that true strength begins in the mind, and that taking care of your energy is not selfishness but a sign of emotional wisdom. But tell me honestly, have you given your mind the same care and attention you give to your daily tasks? That exhaustion you carry may look like laziness, but it isn't. Many times it's your brain sending out a cry for help. When dopamine levels become unbalanced, the chemical that regulates your motivation, your focus, and your sense of pleasure, everything starts to lose its color. You keep existing, but without truly living. You see no direction, feel no strength, find no meaning. Perhaps the moment has come to stop sabotaging yourself in silence and begin rebuilding what is most valuable: your clarity, your energy, and your presence. Today I'm going to share with you 10 authentic, simple, and powerful practices that awaken your dopamine naturally, without addictions, without chasing excess, and without driving you into burnout. Because here's an undeniable truth: no one can live a good life while emotionally drained. But before we dive into the first practice, write this below as a commitment to yourself. Today, I choose to stop merely surviving and begin rebuilding myself, because the world won't slow down. But I can choose to stop losing myself and start reconnecting with my true strength today. Practice 1. The body in motion awakens the sleeping mind. Have you noticed how everything changes after a simple walk? The body warms up, thoughts fall into order, and breathing finds its rhythm. It's not magic, it's pure biology. Your brain responds to movement, and dopamine is one of the first to be activated. Even the smallest gestures with no real effort stimulate this essential neurotransmitter that sustains motivation, focus, and emotional balance. Yet modern society taught us a false idea: that movement only counts if it's intense, timed, sweaty, measured, and filled with results. We've forgotten that the body doesn't need a performance. It simply needs to move. And the paradox is this: precisely when we feel most anxious, drained, or unmotivated, that's when we freeze. We wait for energy to return on its own, when in reality, it's born out of movement. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Cleanthes, one of Zeno's earliest disciples, spent his nights hauling water and his days devoted to philosophy. For him, physical effort did not oppose mental clarity. On the contrary, it was the path to reach it, because it is the body in action that sustains an alert mind. These small movements not only balance dopamine, they also transform how you see yourself. When the body stops, the tired mind feels heavier, and the longer you stay still, the deeper the sense of stagnation grows. The way out is often simple: to move without extraordinary goals, without rush, without demands, not as punishment, but as a gift. It's permission to breathe better, to think more clearly, and to release what you've been holding inside. So ask yourself right now, what small movement can I gift my body today? It may seem like little, but sometimes that's enough. It is in action that life begins to flow again, outside, and above all, within you. And before we move on to the next practice, if this episode has already brought you value, I ask 2 simple gestures. Give it a like, and share it with someone who needs to recover their own energy. Practice 2. Choose your food with full awareness, not from a place of lack. How many times do you open the fridge not out of real hunger, but out of boredom, anxiety, or frustration? That sudden craving for something sweet almost never comes from the stomach. It comes from the mind asking for relief. The problem is that the relief is fleeting, and the cost that follows is far too high. What you consume doesn't just nourish your body, it also alters the chemistry of your mind. This is where dopamine comes into play. Ultra-processed foods may spark a quick flash of pleasure, but their effect is like a match. It lights fast, burns bright for a moment, and then fades just as quickly. What follows is the crash, loss of energy, irritability, unexplainable fatigue. You end up feeling worse than before, and on top of that, blaming yourself without realizing you're caught in a biochemical cycle that only deepens the emptiness. In contrast, simple natural nourishment, with proteins, healthy fats, vegetables, water, and mindful presence, gives your brain what it needs to balance your mood, restore focus, and rebuild dopamine in a stable and lasting way. As ancient wisdom reminded us, drunkenness is nothing but voluntary madness. And they weren't just speaking of alcohol, but of any excess that clouds the mind. Eating to escape yourself is simply another form of intoxication disguised as comfort. That's why the key question isn't, what diet should I follow? But rather, how do I want to feel after eating this? If what you seek is clarity, lightness, and energy, then your choices must align with that. Try this. The next time you sit down to eat, turn off the TV, set your phone aside, sit with yourself, chew slowly, savor each bite, pay attention to the texture, and ask, is this nourishing me or just numbing me? Because if what you feel is anesthesia, perhaps what you truly need is not more food, but rest, or the courage to face what you've been trying to escape. Ignoring that signal doesn't just add calories, it subtracts mental strength. Do you want clarity? Then eat like someone who wants to think clearly. Do you want energy? Then eat like someone who wants to live with intention. This is not about dieting, it's about self-respect. Practice 3. Sleep as someone who prepares their mind to be reborn each day. You can disguise physical fatigue with coffee, but you will never fool your brain. Sleep is not an optional luxury, it is vital maintenance. During the night, your body resets, hormones find balance, toxins are cleared, and dopamine receptors, the very ones that sustain your motivation and focus, are restored. Without this process, everything begins to break down. Your mood declines, your temper grows fragile, and mental clarity fades. Worst of all, we often sacrifice this deep repair for endless tasks, for screens glowing into the late hours, for information that fills the mind but never restores it. You think you're making better use of your time, but tell me, how can you truly enjoy life with an exhausted brain? A fatigued mind doesn't reason, it only reacts. And no matter how many dreams you have, they are useless without the energy to live them and enjoy them. Marcus Aurelius understood this perfectly, even while carrying the weight of an empire on his shoulders. For him, rest was part of discipline. Even the firmest warrior needs to sleep, not as an escape, but as silent training for the next day. That is why you must turn your nights into a ritual of self-care. Turn off the screens before your body cries out for rest. Create a dark, cool, quiet environment, as if whispering to your mind, now is your time to rebuild. And if sleep has become a challenge for you, simplify. Choose a fixed bedtime, breathe deeply, and speak to yourself with the tenderness you would offer a tired child. Everything is fine. Now it's time to rest. Because trying to live with an exhausted brain is like driving through fog with the headlights off. Yes, you move forward, but without direction, without safety, without clarity. Sleeping well is not indulgence, it is self-care, repair, and emotional survival. Perhaps what you lack is not more discipline or willpower, but simply one full night of true silence. Deep rest, free from guilt and free from demands, as if you finally understood. My body doesn't need punishment, it needs rest. I have the right to restore myself. If this lesson resonated with you, write it in the comments. Today I rest, I respect myself. That simple act could be your first step to leaving autopilot behind and starting again with true strength. Practice 4. Allow the sun to restore order within you. Think about it. When was the last time you stepped outside without rushing, simply to feel the air on your face? No headphones, no screen, no specific purpose, just to be under the sky. It may seem like a trivial gesture, but it holds a power we've forgotten. Natural light, especially in the morning, is not just illumination. It's a biological code, a silent alarm clock that activates your mind and resets your nervous system. When the sun's rays touch your skin, your body understands. It's time to wake up. Yet today, most of us live locked indoors. We sleep with the curtains shut, wake up to artificial light, spend the day in front of screens, and end the night with the glow of a phone in our eyes. And then we wonder, why do I feel so slow? Why is my mind so foggy? Why does my mood swing so much? The Stoics knew this well. They sought nature as the path back to their center. Marcus Aurelius found calm in contemplating the sky. Cleanthes found clarity listening to the flow of rivers. They understood that the soul regains its balance when we reconnect with the real world. Today, neuroscience confirms it. Daily sunlight exposure, even just for a few minutes, reduces anxiety, improves sleep, regulates mood, and reactivates dopamine circuits, the force that restores motivation. This is not a luxury or a minor detail. It is a vital need. You don't need the perfect park or the most beautiful landscape. A single moment under the sky is enough. Let your eyes receive true light. Let the wind clear the clutter left by screens. Let your body remember, I am part of life, not of a machine. Picture this. Trying to rebalance yourself without natural light is like trying to charge your phone with the wrong cable. It looks connected, but it never charges. You may appear to be functioning, but inside you are running empty. So today, do the minimum, which is actually a lot. Open the window, walk to the corner, let your skin feel the sun. Sit where the daylight reaches you, and if you can, look upward. Because sometimes, what your body and mind need most is not inside an app or in an instant response. It's out there, waiting just a few steps from your door. Practice 5. Start small and honor every step forward. There's a special satisfaction in crossing something off your list. It doesn't matter if all you did was wash the dishes, write a single page, or wake up at the time you planned. Your mind registers it as progress, and that progress releases dopamine. It's the brain sending the message, we're moving forward. The problem is that we've been conditioned to value only the final result, to celebrate only when the 20 pounds are lost, when the book is finished, when the promotion comes. Meanwhile, all those small steps go unnoticed, as if they carried no weight. But the brain doesn't work that way. It needs milestones, signals confirming the path is being walked. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That clarity of purpose, joined with consistency and practice, is what creates true motivation. It's not the desire for the final goal, but the habit of continuing to walk. Angela Duckworth, researcher on resilience, put it bluntly. Enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare, and that's precisely what we train when we commit to small objectives. Not the rush of the beginning, but the strength to keep going. Imagine someone trying to regain focus. If that person wakes up, makes the bed, eats a good breakfast, and walks for 10 minutes, they've already sent their brain a chain of messages. We've begun. That simple act is enough to activate dopamine, as if the mind were saying, we are alive, we are in motion. Now picture the opposite. Someone who wakes up late, grabs their phone before leaving the bed, skips breakfast, and enters the day without direction. The brain registers it too, translating it into, we're stuck. And motivation fades, not because that person is weak, but because the signals of progress were missing. Small goals function like lighthouses. They illuminate the immediate stretch of the road, and that is what keeps the body moving even when the journey seems endless. If you learn to celebrate each rung, you won't have to wait until the top of the staircase to feel progress. And it doesn't require as much as you think. Start by writing down 3 daily goals. Breathe deeply as you complete them, and close each night by acknowledging the effort, even if the day wasn't perfect. That teaches your brain to value the process, enjoy the journey, and respect the rhythm. The child who learns to ride a bike is not the one who succeeds on the first try, but the one who pedals poorly 1,000 times and still smiles, gets up, and tries again. Because every attempt is celebrated, not condemned. Maybe what you lack today is not more discipline, but more kindness toward yourself and the steps you've already taken. So ask yourself, what is the smallest action I can take right now that will make me feel whole for having done it? Do it, recognize it, give thanks for that progress. And tomorrow, repeat the process. Those who learn to rejoice in the simple end up building the extraordinary almost without realizing it. If this lesson resonated with you, leave it in the comments. Today I celebrate the path one step at a time, because every victory you acknowledge strengthens the person you are becoming. Practice 6. Remain fully present in your own company. Have you ever tried sitting in a quiet place, no phone, no TV, no one around, and suddenly the silence began to sound like a scream? It's like stepping into a room where only you exist. The echo of your breathing grows louder, time seems to slow down, and your mind starts running, not forward, but inward. It's at this point that most people choose to escape, because what feels uncomfortable is not the outer silence, but the inner noise. The truth is, people don't fear solitude itself as much as they fear what they might discover once they stop distracting themselves. The mind becomes restless, craving stimulation, anything, a notification, a meaningless video, a problem to solve. But escaping is never harmless. Each time you run away from yourself, you reinforce the belief that your own company is unbearable. Silence in reality is not an enemy. It's the only space where you can hear what your mind has been trying to show you for days. It's there that dopamine finds a new balance, flowing calmly, without the artificial jolts of external stimuli. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." It wasn't poetry, it was practice. A reminder that even in the midst of chaos, there exists a refuge within you. But that place must be visited with intention. Today, science confirms it. Short, mindful pauses, even just 5 minutes, increase dopamine, mental clarity, and emotional stability. Silence is not wasted time, it is repair, though it's not easy. At first, discomfort rises, thoughts crowd in, anxiety pushes, the body wants to flee, and you think, this isn't working. But perhaps it is working, precisely because you're beginning to thaw. You don't need to become a monk or adopt complicated postures. Just try something simple. Turn everything off for 5 minutes. Place your hand on your chest and breathe. Then ask yourself, honestly, what is alive in me right now? Don't search for answers. Don't try to fix anything. Just observe. Maybe sadness surfaces, maybe relief, or maybe for the first time in a long while, a silence appears that doesn't scare you, but embraces you. Because silence is the room where your soul speaks the loudest, and if you never step into it, you could spend your whole life never knowing what it was trying to tell you. If this lesson resonated with you, write in the comments. Today I enter silence to listen to myself. That small gesture could be the beginning of a reunion with what you lost while chasing the noise of the world. Practice 7. Choose carefully who occupies space in your mind. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling lighter, clearer, as if someone had cleaned a fogged-up window inside you? And other times, have you ended up feeling diminished, confused, as though something within you had been drained? That isn't mere sensitivity, it's pure chemistry. The people around you directly influence the state of your nervous system. They affect your mood, your clarity, your motivation, and above all, your dopamine levels. Our brain is social by nature. It regulates itself through interaction. It is strengthened by authentic listening, by a welcoming gaze, by a presence that does not judge. But it also goes on alert in the face of constant criticism, comparison disguised as advice, and superficiality that demands performance instead of authenticity. Seneca warned us clearly, nothing harms the character more than associating with frivolous people. He did not write this from arrogance, but from necessity, from the need for protection, reminding us that the environment where your mind breathes can either nourish or suffocate your essence, and you feel it in your body. With the right people, you breathe better, express yourself with greater clarity, and perceive yourself as more whole. With the wrong people, your gaze loses its brightness, your words shrink, and you withdraw, even if you keep smiling on the outside. Relationships are never neutral. They either build you or wear you down. That's why you must observe honestly. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Do they inspire you or drain you? Do they make you feel embraced or judged? After being with them, do you feel more like yourself or more empty? Be sincere. Sometimes what sickens your mind is not the world itself, but the place you insist on holding on to. It's not always possible to change everything at once, but you can always start choosing better. Today, try something simple. Send a genuine message to someone who brings you peace. It could be a word of gratitude, a shared memory, or simply, "I'm glad to have you close." Living relationships require living gestures. And just as important as protecting yourself is also offering. Become the presence you would like to receive. Build authentic reciprocity. Be a source of rest in the lives of those who walk beside you. Because the ground where your mind steps is made of voices. Some are like a constant shadow. They chill you, weaken you, dim you. Others are like the gentle morning light, discreet yet capable of awakening everything within you that had fallen asleep. Choose carefully, because the voice you hear most often slowly becomes your own. Practice 8. Live what truly brings you meaning, not just what pleases others. Ask yourself, at what point did you stop doing what genuinely made you feel alive? When did joy become dependent on free time, on those fleeting moments that only appear if there's a gap left in your schedule? On the path to adulthood, many replace what they love with what they must do. Without realizing it, they stop nurturing their natural dopamine, the kind that rises from within when you connect with what awakens you, excites you, calms you. Writing, playing an instrument, dancing, building, cooking, walking without a destination. All of these simple activities that bring you into presence are not meaningless hobbies. They are vital needs. Viktor Frankl expressed it clearly. What gives meaning to life also gives us the strength to live it. That is exactly what happens when you devote yourself to something you love. You stop merely surviving and once again experience what it feels like to be truly alive. Don't wait until you have extra time. Create it. Just 15 minutes a day dedicated to something that reconnects you with yourself is enough to notice the difference. You don't need to give up everything, switch careers, or become an artist. You only need to rescue that part of yourself that should never have been left behind. Because when you do what you love, the mind flourishes effortlessly, and dopamine returns. Not in fleeting spikes that later collapse, but in soft, steady waves that sustain your mood, your clarity, and your drive to keep going. You feel fuller, lighter, more authentic. The greatest mistake is believing that joy only comes after you finish all your obligations. The truth is that joy is not a reward at the end of the journey. It is the breath that keeps you moving forward. And when you deny yourself that simple pleasure, something within you begins to wither, like a plant that still stands, but has stopped receiving water and no longer blooms. Today, ask yourself honestly, what was it that made me smile before life got so rushed? Reignite that spark. Protect it and nurture it. You don't need to be productive to deserve joy. You only need to be human. And if this lesson resonated with you, write in the comments. Today I choose to live what makes me well. Because your joy is not a luxury. It is emotional survival. And it deserves a permanent place in your routine. Practice 9. Untie the knots that stress has formed within you. Have you noticed how much energy you spend pretending everything is fine, even when inside you're on the verge of breaking down? It's like holding a glass of water with your arm extended for hours. At first it feels light, but over time it becomes unbearable. Even if the glass is small, the effort accumulates. That's exactly how unreleased stress works. Silent, constant, until everything inside you begins to crack. You force a smile, swallow the anxiety, keep moving on autopilot. On the outside, it looks like nothing is wrong, but on the inside, your system is at its limit, like a cable pulled too tight, about to snap. The problem isn't in feeling. The problem is stopping those feelings from finding a way out. The body keeps score. Every silenced wound, every buried anger, every "I'll deal with it later," left unresolved. And it transforms them into pain, blockages, insomnia, and extreme fatigue. What you don't release eventually consumes you. Carl Jung put it clearly, what you resist persists. Stress is exactly that, a force that grows the more you try to silence it. Facing what's happening doesn't mean ignoring it. It means recognizing what you feel, naming what weighs on you, and creating a space to release it. With awareness, with respect, with truth. Releasing stress doesn't mean losing control. It means allowing yourself to feel. It's being able to cry when your body asks, to run when anger burns, to breathe deeply when the pressure rises, to write down what you've been holding inside, to pray sincerely, to scream into a pillow, or simply to sit in silence until the inner storm subsides. There's no exact formula, but there is wisdom in letting go. Because what you carry too long eventually overflows, and it always spills into the most sensitive places: your energy, your rest, your inner peace. Chronic stress rewires your brain to live in emergency mode, and in that state, there is no room for stable dopamine, no room for clarity or rest, only alertness, tension, and wear. But when you learn to release, everything shifts. Your body loosens, your mind reorganizes, and your system understands. It's safe now to return to balance. Turn this into a small ritual. Choose a fixed moment each day to unload. It could be a hot shower, a short walk, a spoken prayer, or 3 minutes of writing everything that presses on your chest. Create that space where you can take off the armor and say, "Here, I can let go." Don't wait until collapse forces you to take care of yourself. True strength isn't about resisting everything. It's about knowing when it's time to allow yourself to feel and release what no longer belongs. Write it in the comments as a commitment to yourself. Today, I choose to let go. Because whatever you hold onto for too long will one day end up holding you back from truly living. Practice 10. Cultivate each day. What gives breath to your soul? How many times have you known exactly what you needed to do and still didn't do it? Wake up early, eat better, go to bed on time, learn to manage your money, say no to what drains you. You know it, yet you keep postponing it. The problem isn't ignorance of the path. The problem is returning again and again to what weakens you, even when you already know where your strength lies. The truth is hard. Most people don't fail because of ignorance. They fail because they surrender to themselves a little more each day. You don't need a grand plan to transform your life. You need to return to the essentials with consistency. As Charles Duhigg, author of The Power of Habit, wrote, "True change begins with small victories, and your brain understands this better than you think." Dopamine doesn't respond to intensity. It responds to repetition. It's about that daily commitment to what strengthens you, even when no one sees. It's drinking water as soon as you wake up, moving your body to organize your thoughts, studying your finances, choosing to sleep without your phone in hand. It's that firm no, that respected silence, that right choice even when there are no applause. Everything seems small, but it's exactly in this way that a mind is restructured, not through spectacular leaps but through sincere repetition. Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, wrote daily reminders to himself of what truly mattered, to remain centered. You don't need an empire to govern, but you do need to build an inner territory where clarity reigns. And that space is born from your rituals, because it's not hard to know what makes you well. The difficult part is staying faithful to it in a world that pushes you toward excess, noise, and distractions that steal your energy without you noticing. Yet it's that fidelity that rebuilds you. That's why today, don't try to change everything. Choose just one thing that sustains you and repeat it. Dopamine won't solve all your problems, but it will reveal how aligned your life is with the essentials, or how far you've drifted from them. And perhaps, after searching so long to feel good, what you truly need is something simpler. Fewer stimuli and more presence, less demand and more awareness, fewer impossible goals and more fidelity to what truly strengthens you. True mental strength doesn't come from a miraculous change. It's built in the invisible, in those nights when you choose to sleep better, in those 5 minutes when you close your eyes and breathe, in that brief exercise that reorganizes your mind, in that no you say to a vice, and in that yes you give to what renews you. You don't have to wait to feel motivated. You need to act even without it. And if you do it today, tomorrow, and the next day, something inside you will begin to transform. And one day, without even noticing, you'll look in the mirror and say, I am no longer that trapped person. Because you did what few dare. You chose to set yourself free. The simple fact that you've made it this far proves you already have the strength and determination to change your life. That's why I invite you to write in the comments, strength at the foundation, because it's at the foundation where a strong mind is sustained, and it's on that foundation that everything truly worth living is built. I hope this episode has contributed to your personal growth. And if you haven't yet subscribed, subscribe, leave a like, and share this content with someone who also needs a turning point in their life. Thank you for being here.